Okay, time for a new video, and whether you are somebody new to my channel or you are returning to my channel to watch this video, it is greatly appreciated. As always, I'm filming this video in one go, so if I stumble over my words moving forwards, apologies about that, and also apologies if the quality of this video is fairly poor as well. If there's any lag, anything like that at all, sadly it can't be helped, and hopefully it's not too much of an issue for you. This is yet another Eurovision related video here on my channel. Sort of. I am going to be talking about Eurovision a little bit, but I'm also going to be talking about my channel and everything that's happened over the past 12 months, and also taking a bit of a look ahead to 2025. As always, you are very welcome to let me know your thoughts on anything I discuss in today's video by leaving a comment down below, and as always there are links in the description to my other social media pages, check them out if you so wish. So I really haven't thought too much about what I'm going to say in this video, but that's okay. This really is a very relaxed video to see out this year. What I'm going to do first is I'm actually going to go through some of my New Year's resolutions, if you want to call them that. I know a lot of people make them, they don't always stick to them, some people give up after half a month, but I've been making these aims and plans for several years now, and thinking of the aims and plans that I made for 2024, I think I have stuck to most of them, which is quite satisfying. But there's no doubt about it, in my personal life, 2025 is a very serious year. A lot has to get done. So I thought that I'd go through my 2025 aims and plans right now. Then what I'll do is I'll talk a little bit about this year's ESC, looking ahead to next year's competition in Basel, Switzerland, and also just rambling on about any old thing to do with the contest in general. And then I will tell you, just for the hell of it, my top 10 Eurovision songs thus far, which I'm sure I've mentioned plenty of times in the past, but I thought that I would just throw it in there at the end of this video you're watching now, just to see out content on my channel for this year. So, let me go through my aims and plans, of which there are 22. The first thing is to... These are not all Eurovision related, I should say. The first one is to continue to save money and spend the money I do have wisely. I think that's a good aim for anybody. Number 2 is purchase a new computer before the spring. So as I've said previously on my channel, it is absolutely time for an upgrade. The computer I have, it still serves me well, but it is very old and it's not working as well as it once did, which is no surprise given the age of it. And I have a computer in mind. I'm just waiting until it gets a little bit cheaper, and then almost certainly I'll be making that purchase. Now I know some people who watch my content regularly might be thinking that I'm just putting it off all the time. That's not the case. I am buying one, and I hope before the end of January better quality videos are going to be on my channel. What I will say though is that I'm not just buying a new computer for YouTube. I'm buying it because I just need an upgrade, there's no doubt about it. And if anything, I might be making slightly less videos moving forwards. And I may as well touch on this subject right now. It's not that I'm falling out of love with YouTube. I'm certainly not falling out of love with Eurovision. But there have been instances in the past, including this year, where I've made videos just for the hell of it. And I'm not always happy with how they've turned out. I watched some of them back. I know that I'm rambling on for the ages. It's not great, and I know a lot of people might be tuning in and might zone out very quickly because what I'm going on about is of no interest. So moving forwards, what I want to do is make very specific videos, focus on the things that I very much want to talk about, and that means less filler videos. Stat-related videos, which I've sort of made a few times in the past. I do very much want to focus on older editions of the contest, going right back to the 1950s when it first started. I do very much want to do that over the course of 2025. We'll see how that goes. But in terms of little videos here and there about any old thing, I really want to sort of phase that out, if you see what I mean. But, moving on to the next point. Continue relearning Spanish on Duolingo. This is something I've never mentioned before because I've never needed to, but I have been learning/relearning Spanish online for a couple of years now. I don't have any sort of long streak, but I have been doing it for ages, and I originally started out learning Swedish just for fun, but that soon fell to one side. I studied Spanish for many years at school. This is a long time ago. And a few years ago I decided that I wanted to pick it back up again, so I did. And I am not fluent. I don't think that I could have much of a conversation with a native Spanish speaker. But in terms of vocabulary, in terms of pronunciation, and in terms of being able to read a passage of text and translating it, I probably wouldn't be too bad at that. But in terms of having an actual full-blown conversation, I don't think I'm there yet. Number 4 is write more and get more of that writing in print. As I've touched upon on my channel in the past, my main passion is writing. I studied it at university for my undergraduate degree. I did exactly the same thing for my Master of Fine Arts degree. But I don't have a great deal of my writing in print. I do have a very short piece of a short story in print several years ago in the Young Writers Anthology. I don't even think they make that anymore. I do have some of my university work in a book called Red Kite, which my university put together around the time that I graduated all those years ago. And I have had work here and there in other publications, but nothing major and nothing for some time. So I really want to work on that moving forwards. I mainly write poetry. I do know of many publications, and hopefully moving forwards I'll be sending some more work out, and we'll see what happens. Finished the story I started writing just after Christmas last year. I absolutely have some of that written down somewhere. I've been thinking about it for the past 12 months. I just haven't sat down to really work on it anymore. So I really want to focus on that moving forwards. And it does tie in with a sort of poetry collection that I have in my mind as well. Number 6, use the blog a little more and use it for other content as well as Eurovision related stuff. For those of you that don't know, there is a link in the description to this as always. I do have a blog. I started it over a decade ago. I was using it fairly regularly once upon a time, but over the past few years I've just not really bothered. Nobody really reads blogs that much anymore, it would appear, and so the blog has been neglected. But I'd like to pick it up again moving forwards. I do post about movies on there occasionally, Oscars predictions and things like that, and I do occasionally post things about Eurovision as well, but nowhere near as much as I used to. We'll see what happens with that moving forwards. Number 7 relates to work. It's all up in the air at the moment, that's all I will say, and it's imperative that a bit more security in that department comes my way soon. Number 8, get a bit fitter and healthier, and eat a tad healthier too. I think that's a good aim for a lot of people. Number 9, if an opportunity comes up, work on the sporadic travel anxiety flare-ups. I have touched upon that before on my channel briefly. I think I was talking about attending Eurovision last year because there was the possibility of it being in Glasgow, and going up to Glasgow would have been a bit of a testing experience for me, to say the least. Thankfully it was in Liverpool and I went with my friend Peter, and there's 2 videos from that experience up on my channel. Check them out if you so wish. But in terms of travel anxiety flare-ups, it's a very rare thing, but it does happen. So if the opportunity to work on it comes up next year, so be it. Number 10, continue to upload somewhat regularly on my YouTube channel, and also make non-Eurovision related content from time to time. That will happen if people want to see it. I think to suddenly go from talking about Eurovision to something completely different, it might seem very jarring on my channel, and I really don't know if it would fare well to suddenly have a video that goes from getting 200 to 300 views in the space of a month to uploading a video that only gets about 30 views in a month. That would be somewhat disappointing. Not that numbers matter too much to me, but I think it would be quite disappointing to see that. So I'll have to have a think about it moving forwards, but I would like to make more videos about non-Eurovision related stuff. I just don't know what I'd really talk about yet. Number 11, continue with the ESC Instagram page. Link in the description to that as always, rajc.esc. That Instagram page was started by my friend Peter, who thought that it would be a nice thing to have to tie in with my Eurovision channel. And next year marks 4 years, I believe, since we started it. Peter doesn't really have a great deal of involvement with it, it has to be said. He gives me a top 3 for national finals, and that's about it. But first, when the page first started, He was the one who was designing the posts and everything, and I was doing the captions. But now it's very much me doing pretty much everything. I don't mind doing it. It takes a little bit of time to get everything organised, but it's a nice little hobby. Number 12, consider an online press pass for Eurovision. I've never had one before, don't even think I'd get one. My platform isn't really the biggest at all. There are people out there who make far more better looking and eloquent videos than myself about the same sorts of subject matter. So I don't know whether I'll go for it or not. We'll have to wait and see. I doubt it, but you never know. I can also put in with this point here about joining the OJ or OGAE fan club, which I'm not a part of. That's something to look into moving forwards as well. Number 13, start playing the acoustic guitar a little more. I have an acoustic guitar. I've had it for years. My grandfather, who passed away many years ago, gave it to me. It's a little bit embarrassing that I'm not really able to play it very well at all. I haven't really touched it all year. I do very much want to start that up again sooner rather than later. Number 14, get through books a bit quicker. I love reading. There are books here up to the ceiling. There's books over there up to the ceiling. There's loads of them, and many of them I haven't read yet. I am such a slow reader, so I want to pick up the pace with that moving forwards. Number 15, watch movies and TV shows at a faster pace. It's sort of the same thing. Number 16, continue to see my closest friends in person as often as possible. I think that's a good aim for a lot of people. Number 17, continue to be ruthless with tossing out unnecessary items. I have piles of stuff everywhere. Papers, magazines, bits and pieces. It's slow going. I am getting through it, but I need to be a lot more ruthless. Number 18, my apologies, sleep as well as possible, absolutely. Number 19, keep my mental health in check, absolutely. Number 20, attend at least one concert if possible, but also any exhibitions, sport events or riding related events, absolutely. Number 21, go for longer walks more regularly. Don't see any reason why that can't happen. I need more fresh air. And number 22, visit London with a friend. I'd love to go to London a bit more often. I live about an hour away by train, north of London by train, so it's certainly doable, and I'd love to just walk around the city. I really would. There are so many areas of London I've yet to really explore. I've been in loads of bookshops, and I have been to various different areas of the city, but I'd love to take on certain routes and go to different places, and maybe that'll happen next year. I don't know. So those are the aims for 2025, and there are others, but I'm not going to mention them now, and it's not a list to be taken terribly seriously. If I stick to them, so be it. If I don't, it's not the end of the world. Now, in terms of my channel over the past 12 months, I have some stats here. These are from just before Christmas. According to the email that YouTube sent me, this year I achieved 144 new subscribers. So thank you very much to those of you who've joined the RAJC channel this year. Just after Eurovision in May, we did reach 4 digits in terms of subscribers. I think the current number is something like 1,007 subscribers, something like that. That's very satisfying. It's obviously a pretty small number in the grand scheme of things, if you see what I mean. There's plenty of other similar Eurovision related channels that have far more subscribers, which is understandable because their content is much better looking and they are far more eloquent about what they're talking about. But it is very satisfying to have over 1,000 subscribers. I'm very grateful for it. I know some people have been around for a very long time. Anybody who's liked my content, shared it, told somebody else to take a look at it, it's all very much appreciated. I honestly don't think that number's going to go up a great deal moving forwards. I really don't. I don't know why I think that, but I do think that. And even if the quality of my videos improves into 2025, I'm still not sure the number will go up that much. But who knows? If it happens, it happens. I'll be very grateful for it. But if this is all it's going to be, I'm fine. YouTube has always been a hobby. That's the way it's always going to be. And even if the quality does improve, there aren't really going to be too many changes moving forwards. I'm not suddenly going to have things popping up on screen left, right and centre. I'm not going to be editing my videos necessarily. A lot will stay the same, but in terms of the overall look, it's going to be a bit more enhanced. That's the aim, anyway. It says here 54,900 views this year. That's quite satisfying. 92 uploads. I think that will be less in 2025. I really do. Most of the videos I make are in the spring, obviously, because that's when the Eurovision season's in full swing. And I do make a lot of videos the week of the contest as well. I will have to think about changing that moving forwards because of work and other things. They might play a part. I don't really know. Plus, it is tiring to film videos, rambling on for half an hour at a time, and obviously I do the long rambling reviews as well, which is only one video a year, but that's me sitting here and talking non-stop for about an hour. So I will have to think about shortening my content a little bit and spacing the videos out a little bit more as well. How that will pan out, I really don't know yet. I'm not thinking that far ahead. 870 comments, 54 shares, 2,741 likes, and apparently my most viewed video this year is my reaction to Europapa by Joost Klein, which doesn't really surprise me. I think most of my viewers are from the UK and the Netherlands, and I think that's because of the video I made all those years ago, why the Netherlands should win Eurovision 2019. That is the most viewed video on my channel to this day, I believe. And so I think a lot of people came to my channel, subscribed at that point, and have stuck around ever since. I'm very grateful for it. Thank you, Vel. In terms of this year's contest, which I'm now segueing onto, this is a very messy video, isn't it? But bear with me. I enjoyed Eurovision 2024. I know a lot of people didn't. And I can understand why, because there was so much controversy and so much political discourse, and I try and stay away from that as much as possible. But there's no doubt about it, Eurovision is a very political event. It always has been and always will be. And to be honest, I think 2025 in Basel is going to be more of the same. I know that the EBU have changed things, they've brought in a new role, and there's going to be more rules to do with stuff that happens backstage, but ultimately I don't think much is going to change. I think there is still going to be this streak of toxicity in the competition. I think there's going to be absolutely another streak of toxicity within the fandom, absolutely. And who knows, I mean, a lot of the controversy and disappointment this year came through Israel's participation, and we weren't, as fans, we weren't backstage, so we don't know exactly what went down. We've only got bits and pieces that we've been told by some of the artists involved. It seems as though it was a very tense atmosphere. Now, I said on my channel that I thought Israel should probably sit out the 2024 contest. I thought it was in the best interests of everybody. But they did compete, and they did very well in the public vote. They didn't win it, but they did very well. And to be honest, I can see the same happening again in 2025. And I'm just going to try and steer well clear of any matters of a political nature. I really am, because I just don't want to talk about it. I don't want to think about it. This doesn't mean that I'm not politically engaged or ignorant to what's going on. I'd just rather not talk about it. And to be honest, I think a lot of other Eurovision fans are the same. I really do. I think many of us, many Eurovision-related YouTubers, were put into a very difficult situation earlier this year, because either you address it or you completely ignore it like it's not happening at all. And I know of some people who just didn't even talk about the Israeli entry. When they reacted to the results, that part was edited out when they got 300 plus points. And, you know, I had no problem with that, but I'm sure some fans were disappointed, and then you run the risk of getting a bit of a backlash. I mean, I had some earlier this year. I actually reacted to Hurricane on my channel. I thought, you know what, I'm going to do it. It's an entry this year, there's no denying it, it is going to be involved. I'll listen to it, I'll judge it like I do with every other song. If I like it, I'll say so. If I think it's crap, I'll say that as well. And I did film that video and uploaded it, and within 3 hours I had so many comments from people who've never commented on my channel before, and I think they were so disappointed that I wasn't absolutely raving about this song, saying that it was the best thing since sliced bread. And I took that video down, and it's not going to go back up. There's no point now. We're at the end of 2024, for crying out loud. But what it made me realise was sometimes it's just not worth the hassle. So into 2025, with things probably being the same, will I react to the Israeli track? I don't really know. If I'm just going to get all of this vitriol, I'm probably going to avoid it, in all honesty. What I can tell you is that it wasn't the first time there's been a bit of a backlash on my channel. I remember a few years ago when we had that absolutely ludicrous situation in Moldova, where we had the song that was essentially white noise. You'll remember this. And I remember reacting to snippets of the songs, and I said that it was really an atrocious effort. And I try not to be harsh, but sometimes a song just feels really poor to me. So I say so. And I had comments from people saying, how can you possibly say this about this song, blah, 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 blah. And I thought, are you joking me? This is just not a good piece of music. And I remember filming a video almost straight away after that snippet's reaction, sort of apologising for what I said, you know, saying I didn't want to upset anybody. But here's the thing with my channel, is you've got to be honest with how you're feeling. You've got to be honest with your opinions on the songs. And I've been watching Eurovision a long time. Okay, it's not 30, 40 years, but I've been watching it for over 20 years now. And you know very quickly whether a song has something about it or not. You know if it's tickling you in an exciting way. And sometimes you'll hear a song, you'll hear 30 seconds of it, you'll hear 10 seconds of it, and you'll think to yourself, wow, that's dated, that doesn't really excite me at all. Sometimes your opinions change for the better, sometimes they don't. But if I sat here and said, oh yeah, that's a really strong batch of songs, knowing in my head that actually half of the 30 or 40 that I've just listened to aren't that great, I'd just be lying to you all. So I try and be as honest as possible, and what I've noticed over the past 2 or 3 years maybe is that I am quite out of touch with the majority. I would say so, because sometimes I'll listen to snippets of national final contenders and I'll think to myself, okay, I've got 4 or 5 names, I'm happy if one of them does the business. And then in my own time, as always, I will listen to the songs in full or nearly in full, and I'll form stronger opinions and I'll maybe rank them and talk about them in future videos. But then I'll watch other people's videos and I'll think to myself, oh, so my favourite is one that you don't like at all, and in that video it's the same deal, and I'm thinking, oh my god, I'm so out of touch. It's a bit like Spain's selection for 2025. The favourites are VIP and then the woman whose name eludes me at this moment in time. Those 2 songs aren't quite doing the business for me yet. Maybe they will soon once I've seen the live performances. But the songs that I'm liking at the moment from Benidorm Fest are songs that I wouldn't say a lot of people are really, really ranking that highly. I don't know. It is what it is. It's not a complaint that I'm making here, because it's great that Eurovision fans have different opinions. But so often I think, what on earth are you seeing in that song? What am I missing? Do you know what I mean? Sometimes there's an instance where a song comes along and I think to myself, that's just the sort of thing most first-time listeners in May aren't going to go for. I have to say that I feel a little bit that way about the Albanian track that we now have for 2025's competition. I'm thinking to myself that might make the final, but it might struggle in the public half of the results. I could be wrong. Part of me would like to be proved wrong. But then I see comments online from some people, and they're talking about it like it's the greatest song that we've had for years. There's always a bit of exaggeration, and it's great if you're a big fan and you're supporting somebody. I'm not saying that this is a bad thing at all, but sometimes I'll see stuff like this and I think, you're overreacting a little bit. Let's calm down, let's be realistic. I'm very much a realist, and I think that's probably why I sometimes feel a little bit out of touch with most of the rest of the fandom, I guess. I don't know. In terms of social media, I really try and stay away from it as much as possible these days, chipping in with my opinion every now and then. Twitter is an absolute cesspit of shite. The toxicity is rife on there throughout the Eurovision season. Earlier this year, I saw a couple of people complain so heavily about the contest. I thought to myself, with all due respect, why are you on social media bleating on about this? Why are you just going on about matters of a political nature? I get it, but it's clear to me, stranger on the internet, person I've never met, that you are not happy. So why don't you just remove yourself from this situation and have nothing to do with Eurovision for this year? Why don't you just ignore it as best you can? Because clearly, being involved with it in some capacity is not making you feel good. There was supposed to be a boycott this year. I don't think anybody did boycott it. So that was, in my opinion, a bit crap, to be honest with you. All of these people were saying, boycott this year's contest, don't watch it when Israel are on, don't interact with the contest, and yet so many people seemingly just continued on as normal, and that will be the case next year. This is not me criticising those individuals, but I thought, come on now, you're talking about this big boycott, and you're almost forcing your opinions down other fans' throats. They must agree with you. I hate that sort of stuff. Let people have their own opinions. And so the point I'm trying to make here is that Twitter is just crap, in all honesty. And there's a lot of exaggeration, and there's a lot of vitriol, and there's a lot of anger, and there's a lot of spam. And I think the only good thing on that particular social media platform to do with Eurovision is that news about the contest comes through quite quickly. So, for example, if I'm following a national final and I want to see who's won, that's the best place to find out first. But otherwise, it's not great. I'm really rambling on about any old thing now. In terms of YouTube, there's plenty of Eurovision-related YouTubers I watch. I've made a video about people that I enjoy in the past, although it is a few years old now. People like Eurovision, The Peace Around, Shane's Eurovision Review, ESC Estonia. There are so many other channels as well. Some people who don't even have their faces present, but they just do rankings. The designs are fantastic. They deserve many more subscribers than what they've got. I really value their opinions, and they talk about the contest in a much more fluent and imaginative way than myself. They really know what they're talking about, and I do recommend those channels alongside many others. ESC Gabe, there's the other guy, I can't remember his name, but he makes some really interesting videos too. Some channels I'm not even subscribed to, but I do check in every now and then. I'll watch a video here and there, I'll support them, and they talk good stuff. Absolutely, they really know their stuff. I'm not a hardcore fan. I'm not saying that these other people are hardcore fans, but definitely they know what they're talking about. So yeah, moving into 2025, I'm going to be taking even more of a step back from the contest, even though I enjoy it very much and love it very much and will follow it, absolutely. No boycott from me. The plan is to continue making videos, absolutely. I'm very grateful for all of the support. Better quality videos are on the way. With that being said, let me now finish this absolute mess of a video by going through my 10 favourite ESC songs to date. I have the spreadsheet up in front of me. It has changed slightly from this time last year because we have had another contest. But here we go. Number 10 on the list is Iceland 2003. This was the opening song of the Riga contest. Birgitta, Open Your Heart. Absolutely fantastic. It's a pretty bog standard pop sort of song. Birgitta, I think, was very young at the time. She was in this white outfit. There was a flower that she had as well. Backing musicians off to one side, including... what's her name? It's the woman who was part of Euroband. Regina Usk, I think it was, but don't quote me on that. She was off to one side. This finished in 8th place, joint 8th place, I believe it was, out of 26 nations, 81 points, according to what I have on my screen. Lovely track, wonderful stuff. And 2003's contest is one that is very dear to my heart. It's the first contest that I remember watching, and that Icelandic song has stuck with me ever since. Number 9 on the list is Sweden 2022. This is a song that finished 4th in Turin a few years ago. Hold Me Closer by Cornelia Jacobs. Sort of came out of nowhere. On the Melfest list of participants every year, you can sort of take a guess at who's probably going to do the business. Some names stand out more than others. Cornelia's name did not stand out when the Melfest list for 2022 was announced, in all honesty, but her song was the best. And I liked it more and more as time passed. And at Eurovision, I thought it was a great performance. The strobe effects, the slightly husky voice that she has, I don't know if she'll be in Melfest again anytime soon, but it's a lovely track. Number 8 is Norway 2020, the cancelled contest, of course. Can you believe that's nearly 5 years ago? Ulrika with Attention. Ulrika is now married, and I think she has a child, or she's pregnant, or maybe I'm just making this up. I really should know. She's great. What a singer. Attention is such a beautiful song. It was performed so well at MGP, and obviously she tried again to represent Norway a year or two ago with another fantastic effort, but she was the runner-up behind Alessandra. And I hope that she tries again to represent Norway. She deserves that chance on the Eurovision stage. Like I just said, she's a fantastic vocalist. So we'll just have to wait and see. Then we have number 7. This is Croatia 2024, Baby Lasagna Rimtim Tagidim. This was, of course, not even in the list of participants for Dora earlier this year, and then it came into the fold because somebody else withdrew. Won Dora by an absolutely crushing margin. Everybody else may as well have stayed at home. Went to Eurovision, did the business, won the public vote, did all right in the jury vote, second overall, Croatia's best result thus far, and I don't often like/love Croatia's entries at Eurovision. They are very rarely personal qualifiers for me. This year, out of the blue, boom, my winner, one of my favourite ESC songs to date. Absolutely fantastic. Such a lively, sing-along type of tune. Then we have number 6, this is Italy 2017, Occidentalis Carna, Francesco Gabbani. The man is back in Sanremo next year. I can't wait for Sanremo. It's such a strong looking lineup on paper moving forwards. This song, Westerners Karma, it translates as, probably my most listened to Eurovision song ever. I listened the crap out of this song in 2017. The music video, the Sanremo performance, fantastic. Arguably better than his Eurovision performance. Maybe it was the bigger stage that let him down. Maybe it was the choreo that let him down a little bit. I don't know. Maybe the fact there was no orchestra let him down. Whatever it was, the Eurovision performance was a tad on the disappointing side. Nevertheless, he still finished in the top 6, and it's a great, catchy song. Number 5 is Goodbye to Yesterday, Elina and Stig, Estonia 2015. Nearly a decade ago since this one in Vienna. A great duo. Love to see them team up again at some point soon. This was early in the running order. Quite moody and atmospheric, very relaxed in terms of its delivery and the lyricism on display. Really lovely stuff. Definitely going to love it for many, many more years to come. Number 4 is Karja, Finland 2023, Cha Cha Cha, absolutely fantastic. This deserved a bigger stage, in all honesty. That Liverpool stage was fairly small. This deserved a much bigger arena, a much bigger stage, a much better atmosphere, even though the atmosphere was incredible in Liverpool. I was in the Eurovision Village down the road from the venue last May, and everybody was dancing and singing along to this one. I think there's a clip of it in the vlog that I put up on my channel. Peter was filming it at the time. Absolutely fantastic. Again, catchy, sing along, really easy to go along with. The hook is just so simple, and the momentum that this song had was unbelievable. But of course, Loreen was performing, and that was the end of that. Then we have number 3. It is Zitti e Buoni by Måneskin for Italy 2021. A great song, a great winner. What a shame at Sanremo there was no crowd because of the pandemic still being a big problem. I absolutely loved this from start to finish. It was a very assured and confident performance. A great showman front and centre. Victoria De Angelis looking like $1 million off to one side playing the bass. And this was a very worthy winner. Haven't listened to it too much over the years, but it's a great song. Number 2 is Sweden 2010, This Is My Life, Anna Bergendahl. She's been back in Melfest a few times. I'd love to see her do Eurovision again, but I don't think it's going to happen unless she's part of a double act. This Is My Life is the only Swedish non-qualifier we've ever had. Such a shame. Beautiful performance in the national final and at Eurovision with all of the glow sticks. She looked really nice as well in this sort of champagne-coloured dress and Converse I think she was wearing as well. Really simple, very sweet, not much to it, but it's always stuck with me. And for a long time it was my favourite ESC track. But in the past couple of years that has been taken over by the Netherlands 2014, the Common Linnets, Calm After the Storm, Ilse and Waylon, and all of the other musicians around them. Pretty much the whole performance is one camera just panning around the two of them. Black and grey and white, the main colours on display here. Late on in the running order, came up on the rails like you wouldn't believe. Had a few more countries been voting. Maybe the Netherlands would have won instead of Austria, I don't know. I remember watching the voting you know, just over 10 years ago and thinking, my God, they are coming up on the rails like you would not believe right now. And unfortunately, Austria won. Great song, but I was very much supporting the Netherlands. And it's a lovely, lovely track. Country, gentle, very touching lyrics, I would say, and absolute proof that great music can come from the Eurovision Song Contest. This song was a bit of a hit. I think their album did very well in the UK. I think this song did very well in the UK, which is seriously impressive because it's a Eurovision track, and not only that, it's a track that didn't win. So very good going. Absolutely fantastic. Would love to have more songs like this at Eurovision, but we'll just have to wait and see moving forwards. So this has been a very, very long video, but I think I've covered everything that I wanted to cover. And I'm very grateful, once again, to everybody who watches my content, shares it, has subscribed recently, whatever it is. I'm very, very thankful. And moving forwards, let's hope for better quality looking videos and a really great Eurovision 2025. Something I didn't talk about, tying in with the whole social media thing, is leaks. This never used to be a thing, but over the past few years, every time I log into Twitter now, which is not that often, it must be said, For You page, leaks, and then other people sharing these leaks and talking about them, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, do whatever you like, but come on now, impatience like you wouldn't believe. You're not getting any advantage by listening to these songs before everybody else. Why not just wait for the official, legitimate announcements to come through, and we can all, as Eurovision fans, experience them at the same time? I don't know. It really frustrates me, but it is what it is. I don't listen to leaks. I try and steer well clear of them. I do remember listening to a very, very poor quality version of City Lights by Blanche for Belgium back in 2017. I think that's the only time I've ever done it. And I don't plan on doing it again anytime soon. It's very frustrating. I try and scroll right through them, ignore them, forget about them as quickly as possible. Sometimes they are genuine, sometimes they are not. I'm just not interested. And it's such a shame that so many people share these leaks as well, because it's not good for the artists, really, and it's not good for the delegations. And it must be frustrating for them if they know that their tune, which they've been keeping under wraps for ages, is suddenly out there in the world in advance of the official release and that sort of thing. I don't know, it's just disheartening to see. But that's it. For me, for 2024. I'll be back with more content at some point in 2025, and as I keep saying, better quality videos are hopefully coming fairly soon. Until then, take care of yourselves, stay safe, have a pleasant and decent new year, and I will see you again fairly soon. Until then, bye for now.